Hello and welcome to National Focus for Tuesday, July 9, 2024. I am Aaliyah Martin. The headlines: Prime Minister Skerrit to provide support to affected islands post-Hurricane Beryl. Dominica to host inaugural Youth in Agriculture Symposium in August. And people-centered budget to be presented end of July. The details of the headline stories and more when we return.
Ride safe, wear a helmet, safer roads in the Nature Isle. This message was brought to you by the government of the Commonwealth of Dominica.
Welcome back. Prime Minister Beryl Skerrit will depart for Grenada on Wednesday, where he will meet with Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell to discuss how best to assist the country in the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl. From there, he will proceed to St. Vincent and the Grenadines to provide further support.
I believe in the sanctity of two words, gratefulness and graciousness. And in this life, you never know where you'll end up. We all pray to the Lord to be so and so, but you never know where you end up. And you have to be grateful and gracious to people who have been kind to you. And I believe all my life, growing up, I believe that you give people from the little that you have.
As part of the Caribbean community, CARICOM, Prime Minister Skerrit has committed to assisting countries affected by the hurricane, just as they have done for Dominica in the past. A subcommittee of prime ministers has been established to coordinate relief efforts, and Prime Minister Skerrit has volunteered to serve on the committee.
We'll have a follow-up meeting this week so that we can mobilize the international community to support these countries. And we are speaking to friends that we have to help raise funds on behalf of those countries affected. And I will also travel whenever we establish the donor conferences and to speak for on behalf of these countries and to advocate for on behalf of these countries that have been affected and to help mobilize the resources. So this fight must not be a Barbados only fight because Barbados got affected. This fight cannot be a St. Vincent and Grenadines fight because St. Vincent got affected. This fight cannot be a fight for Grenada alone because Grenada got affected. It cannot be a fight for Jamaica alone because Jamaica got affected. No, there has to be a fight of solidarity.
He emphasized the importance of solidarity and resilience in the face of natural disasters. He also reiterated his concerns that the international community is not taking climate change and its impact on small island developing states seriously enough.
We have to highlight and to bring attention to the existential threat that climate change is posing to us. And the sad reality is that there are many empathetic expressions from the developed world, but they're not fulfilling their commitment and obligation to provide the financing that's required to help these countries build resilience. Because if you invest before a storm comes, and resilience is part of that investment, you will be in a better position to withstand the hurricane. It's costing you more money. This is why things cost us more money, 40% more to build infrastructure in Dominica, because we build in resilience in mind.
Dominica is committed to supporting its Caribbean neighbors in times of need. The Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Blue and Green Economy, in collaboration with the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, will host the inaugural Youth in Agriculture Symposium in August. The three-day event will run from August 7 to 9, 2024, and will see participation from OECS youth as they seek to integrate more young people into the development of agriculture.
It is an OECS activity where all the OECS countries will be participating. It is a drive to promote and to support and to recognize the contribution that young people are making to agriculture. All the OECS countries realize that the average age of farmer is around 50, 60, and the sustainability of agriculture is very dependent on having our youth contributing to the sector at whatever level they're comfortable.
The aim is to get the country's youth involved in day-to-day farming and primary production.
So far, we have a lot of youth involved in the sector in technology, agro-processing, professionals like engineers, agricultural extension officers. However, in the primary production, farmers, where you have actual production of agricultural produce, we have to try to create incentive. We have to try to promote, we have to try to encourage young people to enter that sector.
OECS agriculture ministers have recognized the need to show support to the youth in agriculture.
The OECS ministers of agriculture recognizing that our youth in agriculture needs to be supported. If we don't do that, we will not have sustainability in terms of farmers in the sector. So they have organized a Youth in Agriculture, first ever OECS Youth in Agriculture Symposium to be held in Dominica from the 7th of August to the 9th of August.
Participants will be engaged in various activities throughout the 3-day period.
It's a 3-day activity. It comprises of blended activities where you have a trade show as one of the components, field trip, as well as discussion and plenary of topics and areas of concerns of youth in agriculture. So this will be held in Dominica at the State House for the opening. Then we have the trade show, which will be held at the stadium. We have field trip to 1 mile, and there are different components. Hopefully we should address some of the issues of youth in agriculture.
The Youth in Agriculture Symposium is a critical step to maintaining continuity in the sector.
We will be promoting technology in agriculture, but also people on the primary production end, farmers. As the Minister of Agriculture indicated on Agri in Action a few weeks ago, that youth in agriculture is integral, it's important, and this is something we have to promote and encourage so that we have sustainability, that we have continuity, and it also affects our food security. We have to produce as the farmers retire. New ones need to fall into place so we can have consistency in production.
As the 2024 to 2025 national budget approaches, the government is gearing up for a people-centered budget presentation slated to take place later this month. In preparation, a series of pre-budget consultations have been held with various stakeholders, including small business owners, financial institutions, farmers, and agro-processors. These consultations are a crucial part of the budget-making process. Prime Minister Skerrit emphasized the importance of engaging with stakeholders and ensuring that the budget meets the needs of the people.
This coming Saturday, we'll be having a consultation with the Labour Party. More than likely it will happen at the Intercontinental Hotel. Conference facilities where persons from different parts of the country can share their views and do observations and suggestions and recommendations for this. And then the following Saturday on 20th, I will also hold a consultation with a larger contingent of young people.
The 2023 to 2024 national budget was presented last year under the theme Resetting to ensure the judicious use of government's limited resources. You're watching National Focus. More when we return. Welcome back. Kavem Hodge and Alec Athanas, along with the West Indies senior test team, visited the Buckingham Palace on Sunday, July 7, where they met King Charles III. This meeting comes ahead of a 3-match test series against England. King Charles met with the team, interacting with each player, with one player teaching the monarch a new handshake. The king expressed his concerns for the citizens of the Caribbean islands, which were impacted by the passage of Hurricane Beryl. He was then presented with a signed shirt from the West Indies team captain, Craig Brathwaite, who thanked him for the opportunity. The test series is set to take place from Wednesday, July 10 at Lord's, with the third and final test scheduled for July 26 in Edgbaston. The two Dominican players have both been named in the playing 11 for the first test, after making a strong case for themselves in a 3-day warm-up match against the first-class counties 11. Kavem Hodge scored 112 runs from 128 balls and picked up 1 wicket in 4 overs in the first innings. Alec Athanas scored a combined 140 runs, scoring 74 in the first innings and 66 not out in the second innings, which led to a draw match. The first test begins at 6 a.m. tomorrow. The 2024 Atlantic hurricane season, which officially began on June 1, has been predicted to be above average. Already, Beryl, a Category 5 hurricane, has barreled through the Caribbean. Chief Environmental Health Officer Tassie Thomas says that preparation should also include the purchase of health protection items.
We focus on shopping for food during a hurricane, prior to a hurricane or storm, but we tend to neglect our health itself, and we know during storms and hurricane, primarily we are going to suffer from injuries. Injuries from falling objects, from broken glasses, and other debris, projectiles and so on, in debris and so on. We have to program for that. First, I would say every home, every individual should have a pair of rubber boots.
Persons were also warned against walking in accumulated water after a storm or hurricane, as it can prove to be a dangerous practice.
People like going outside, you have to be wading in water where you cannot see what is in the water, and then you puncture your foot, and then you probably have a little bruise on your foot, and you end up getting it infected in water, which is contaminated water from sewage. It could be chemical, it could be debris itself with needles and other instruments that can really go through your foot and so on. So people have to protect themselves. Make sure you have proper shoes during this time. So you have to invest in a pair of 2 of water boots. And when I talk about water boots, I'm not talking about the little thing that reach at your ankles. It have to reach way up underneath your knee.
Citizens were also advised to have their personal first aid kits.
One thing you have to be mindful of is your own first aid kit. Always walk with your own first aid kit. And we're looking at, again, injuries. You get a little cut, or you get a gash, something, before you can think of running to the hospital, but you have a bandage, you can stop the bleeding, you can clean that wound with a little peroxide or a little salt water, and then you can protect that wound from getting infected or from losing blood and so on, where you might end up in the hospital afterwards, which might not have space for you anyway, because what we see is that after a storm, more people end up in the hospital.
Technical Officer of Extension in the Ministry of Agriculture, Mr. Kean Stevenson, has embraced government's latest effort to enhance extension services to farmers. In a move which is certainly expected to boost food security in Dominica, government through the Ministry of Finance presented 3 vehicles to the Ministry of Agriculture on Monday. The vehicles were purchased with a $400,000 loan procured by government from the World Bank.
It's long awaited 4x4 vehicles or for the delivery of service to the farming community. As technical officer of extension is something that has been long awaited. One of the biggest challenges for field officers is really going out into the far districts where the farmers farm and really getting out there. Often farmers say it's not just the farmers on the main road we have to visit, but the farmers in the out districts, those high up in the hills, those where normally the farm access roads are a bit challenging.
Government continues to make significant investments in agriculture to position the sector to meet its $700 million contribution to the country's GDP by 2030. Extension officers are playing a key role in helping to achieve this goal.
So having these 4x4 vehicles come in very handy in the extension officer in their farmer outreach. And I know the extension officers look forward in this. And I know coming with these vehicles also, we have coming some data devices, tablets and computers, and so that will also strengthen the extension officers' capacity in reaching out there, servicing the farmers, servicing the agricultural community, and really getting the information and the service and that kind of farmer extension relationship that we really need to build back. So we look forward to these vehicles going out into the regions, the extension officers taking good care of them, and also just reaching out to the farming community in a positive way.
The project implementation unit was instrumental in securing the required funding. The PIU was established within the Ministry of Agriculture to coordinate the day-to-day planning, management, and execution of all projects within the ministry.
We are building capacity of the extension officers, and it's important for the extension officers to have that capacity to service the agricultural region and by extension the farmers.
Coming up next, the Creole News Highlights with Jenu Jacob.
Bienvenue à ce nouvel en créole, nom monsieur Jenu Jacob. Ministre Agriculture recevait 3 voitures neuves hier, hors ministre Finance. Secrétaire Diwan Ryan Ansem dit nous plie.
Le gouvernement a dit très content pour l'agriculture important pour le pays. Aujourd'hui là, nous avons présenté 3 voitures, des pick-up, un Jimny, ça qui est une des extensions fait travail au maire. Quand on sait extension qu'a travaillé avec ces plantés, ça qui fait qui avancé, c'est travail l'extension qu'a fait dans différents 7 agricultures régionales. Ça nous le dit extension officer pour qui a véhicule là, pour garder comment yo maintain véhicule là bien, parce que ça c'est un gros investissement, qui a sorti en agriculture project là qui World Bank a fond. Ça même qui aide nous pour nous avancer agriculture.
Il dit ces voitures qui ont des ministres là avancer agriculture.
Ça même qui aide nous pour nous avancer agriculture, comme ça le Premier ministre mettait en target $700 millions. Ça qui aide nous joindre target ça là. Nous bien contents pour investissement en agriculture, comme ça agriculture bien important pour ça qui est anglais food security. Comme on toujours dit, sans manger, moun pas ça exister. So pour nous-mêmes, nous bien contents le gouvernement pour faire investissement ça là en agriculture secteur. Nous regarder comment nous aider pour avancer le travail agriculture en ces 7 régions là. C'est voici ça là qui allait en 3 régions et qui allait en région East, South-East, et qui allait en Central, West, North-East.
Là, nous avons un cyclone qui est venu, nous avons fait préparation shopping. Mais ce n'est pas gros seulement, nous sommes pour gagner.
Là où aller gagner manger en supermarché avant storm, pas gagner c'est manger là on y pour mettre en fridge là pour faire ouete simple. Manger comme chicken, viande on a whole. Viande ça c'est viande fouet. Changement de c'est viande avec manger on y pour mettre en réfrigérateur là pour faire ouete simple. Ou pas gagner viande, pas gagner slet, pas gagner cheese, pas gagner pièce manger ça là on est pour gagner pour mettre en fridge là. Quitter yon ou quitter yon ou parce que ou pas ça servi tout bité l'autre jour après storm là. So quitter yon ou ça même qui empêche ou taper maladie horde manger qui pas simple.
Il dit manger chauffé, pas bon pour nous manger après un désastre.
Manger ou ni en fridge là ou ça ou peut-être jour avant ou bouillir en pela ou ben ou ni en stew ni en soupe ou ni c'est ça en fridge là. C'est manger ça là l'autre jour ou ça courant là yo que couper courant là peut-être 6 temps avant storm là même. Comme ça même déjà c'est trop temps qui passe en l'air manger ça là pour manger ça là l'autre jour. Comme ça manger qui était en fridge là pour 6 impliquer 6 temps après courant là aller manger ça là pas bon pour manger ou ni pour jeter parce qu'il fait ou malade.
Activité pour célébration émancipation qui a continué. Officier Coulter Carlton Henry dit nous plie.
Émancipation dans ça a commencé quand nous dit avait un bang. Nous j'ai passé des activités, nous tenons production Waitikubu Dance Theater qui passait des semaines qui passaient avec vendredi passé nous tenons afro artistique qui était très belle à sur boulevard là en Ozo. Nous qui continuer avec exhibition émancipation qui prend place en dans Old Mill Cultural Center qui a commencé lundi le 15 juillet pour le 19 juillet. Ça c'est activité pas activité un jour, c'est activité en whole semaine. Là nous qui toutes différentes qualités belle BTS display en Old Mill là. Après ça, nous sommes venus avec Golden Drum Award Ceremony là, qui prend place à la State House Dominica. Activité ça qui prend place à la State House là, avec qui en le 26 juillet.
Changer nous en temps cyclone, faire préparation bonheur. Ça c'est tout à ce nouvel en créole. Non, monsieur Geno Jacob. Au revoir.
And that was Geno with the Creole highlights. A high-pressure system is the dominant feature across the area. This is expected to result in a relatively dry atmosphere. However, low-level clouds moving with the wind flow are expected to result in occasional cloudy skies with a few showers. Slight to moderate seas can be expected in open water, with waves peaking near 7 feet during the period. As we're in the midst of the hurricane season, it is crucial to take proactive steps to protect yourself and your family. Today's tip: ensure you have battery-operated radio. This can be a lifeline when the power goes out, keeping you informed about weather updates and emergency instructions. Make sure to have extra batteries on hand to keep devices running when electricity is unavailable. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. Be sure to follow GIS Dominica on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitter. You can also drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm. From all of us here on the GIS News production team, I am Aaliyah Martin. Thank you for watching.